Hi guys, I just wanted to do a quick update with something that I'm doing today, which I think is relevant to the story of going back to getting the Amiga, which is why I'm going to put this in the Amiga playlist, because it's part of my waiting to get my repurchased Amiga 500 Batman pack, and it was all about the Batman pack. As I've said before, that was definitely the best pack back in the day to get in the UK, and that's the one that I ended up with, and that's the one that I've rebought. But why was the Batman pack so successful? There's Dan Wood does an excellent video on that one, I think, where he interviews David Tennant and they talk about the packaging and all of that, so go and look at that. I'm not going to do all the history of that for you, but at the end of the day, Batman was a great game, which is what made the Batman pack such a great pack to get your hands on. And Batman was a great game off the back of a great movie. I think that the 1989 version of Batman was an absolutely phenomenal rendition. But before that, what did we have? We had Adam West. Now, I won't hear anybody say a bad word about the Adam West Batman either movie, which was just comical all the way through, or the television series as well. Absolutely enjoyed it as a kid. And what was it? It was a humorous take on taking what was a comic book character and putting it on screen, and they even went down to, you can almost see the brainstorming going through. Well, in the comic book you have kapow and smash and bam as big things. Now, the reason why that is in the comic book is because there is no sound, obviously, because it's just a printed page, but for whatever reason they chose to actually translate those elements back onto television, which does have sound, and go bang kapow, in big animated graphics over the top of the action. But it was still excellent to watch. And that was Batman. You have Batman in black and white. I don't remember that too well. Certainly remember Adam West Batman, and Batman and Robin and Batgirl and all of that. That was all great. But then came the 1989 Batman, which was just so completely different. It was it was nowhere near as dark as the even more modern versions, like Dark Knight and all of that, but for its time it was actually really, really dark, because it was so far removed from the sort of light-hearted comic book, lifted comic book that we had up until that point. Why am I talking about this today? Well, because if you look it up, and in fact let me just quickly go screen and cam here, you'll see that it was released 30 years ago, obviously, because it was 1989 for that Batman. USA, June 1989, but I was in the UK at the time, and also different states for the USA. Look at that. That's cool. We think region locking's bad these days. Talking about that, that'll come up in a minute as well. But in the UK, which is where I lived at the time, and that's where I'm from originally, as you can probably tell, it was the 11th of August, which is today, and that's when I'm recording this video, and that's when I'll be uploading this video as well, which is why I didn't do it yesterday. I did it today. So my evening plans today are basically to watch it again, and I actually have, and ironically, this is what I said about I'll be talking about region locking as well. This is a UK release DVD, as you can tell by the style of the 15 rating logo there. Slightly different ones that we have in Australia, if I can find one. But in fact, it's usually M that you see over here. What is this? This is my son's, not mine. It's Mockingjay, but that's what we have over here in Australia. This is the UK release. Talk about the region locking thing in a minute, but I want to tell you my story. Obviously, I wouldn't have been watching it on DVD back then. I wouldn't have even been watching it in VHS, and I probably didn't watch it on the day of release. But I'm going to go with the day of release to use that as a reason to watch it today. So the UK release was today, 30 years ago. So I'm going to watch it, and I did watch it at the cinema. Funny story for you. So there was this girl that I knew called Christina, that I really liked at the time. See the smile coming across my face even now as I start to tell this story. And I think I'd asked her out to see Moonwalker because she was into Michael Jackson, and she turned me down then. Did that come out first, or was that the second movie? I think that was the first one I asked her to. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the first one I asked her to. And even though she was into Michael Jackson, I think she told me she'd already seen it or something. And then so when Batman was coming out, I again plucked up the courage. You know what it was like back then, when your stomach's churning and you got to go to your parents' phone and choose to use the phone when nobody else is around because it's embarrassing, and ring up a girl. My goodness, girl. Anyway, so I rang her number and asked to speak to Christina and said, "Oh yeah, just wondered if you wanted to go and see Batman this week." And she straight away, obviously, she was not into me at all. That was a relationship that never happened. I mean, we were fine friends, but whatever. Anyway, and I said, "Oh, do you want to go and see Batman this week at the cinema? I'll take you out to the cinema." And she went, "No, I probably don't really want to, but my brother wants to see it. Hang on." She goes and gets her brother, a guy called Steve. And so I go, "Oh, hi, Steve. Yeah, I was going to go and see Batman." "Oh, yeah, okay, I'll come and see Batman with you." So I took Steve to see Batman. Obviously, we just went as friends. I'm happily married, heterosexual myself, personally. That's my thing. Anyway, without getting political. But the funny thing is, out of that, me and Steve, her brother, became really good mates, and we would watch, went on for years, and we would watch Monty Python together, and we'd watch, movies, Spinal Tap, that kind of thing, Wayne's World. And we both got into electric guitars. He was a lot better than me, but we'd just have jam sessions on a Sunday night and just mess about with our instruments and just make up stupid songs. And so out of that rejection from Christina came this really cool friendship with her brother Steve that went on for years and years and years, and still the kind of guy that if I ever have time when I'm visiting back in the UK, obviously it's hard to catch up with everybody, but he's always in my mind of somebody I'd like to see again. And I have done a few times, probably 2008 to be honest was the last time I caught up with Steve. But yeah, so that's the story I wanted to share, and it's all relevant because obviously from getting into the movie and really enjoying the movie, that's why when the Batman pack came out for the Amiga, it was definitely, that's the pack I got to get, because I read up on how good the game was, and there's just certain things. I mean, in the movie, and obviously we'll cover this better when I actually get my hands on the Amiga and Batman the game as well, because I don't want to do that particular thing via emulation, as I've said. But, the Batmobile, I mean, I'm into cars, as I've said before, and the Batmobile in this version of Batman is just phenomenal. It's so good. And there's that scene where, he's going through the city and he's got to go around a tight corner. And what does he do? He throws out the grappling hook, which grabs hold of a lamppost and swings the car around a 90-degree bend, and off he goes. And they translated that into the game as well. It's something you had to do over and over and over again to complete level 2. And it was just done so well in the game. In fact, just that one level, that one driving level in Batman, obviously the assets are a lot simpler, but that's better than other driving games that should have been better, such as, dare I say, Outrun and Chase HQ and those arcade conversions that really didn't translate well. I understand they're more complicated, but still, that one level showed me, how good a driving game could be, just from what they did in Batman, and so that then translates to a knock-on effect to highlighting how poor some others were done, sadly. But yeah, so anyway, that's my evening tonight, watching Batman. That's part of my and I've had this for a while. Oh yeah, so basically a guy at work who was from the UK, and he was leaving work, and anyway, he had all these ex-UK DVDs that he was trying to get rid of, and they were all just piled up in a room, and he said, well, nobody's taking them. So I grabbed a couple. The reason why nobody's taking them is, because God forbid you watch a UK DVD in Australia, you could take over the world if you watch something before the intended release date for a different country. Just, get me on DRM, then get me on region locking of movies. Two things I really don't understand the rationale other than, crazy. So in order to watch this tonight, I actually don't have a multi-region DVD player at the moment. I had one ages ago, but I don't have one. PlayStation 4 doesn't do multi-region anymore. Xbox 360 doesn't do it. My PC doesn't do it. And so my laptop, I'm sure you've tried this before, but if you change region, you only get so many changes of region before the OS will stop you doing region changes. Because again, God forbid, you might start nuclear war if you're watching a DVD from the wrong region. So my laptop, which is one of my sort of secondary devices now, I've purposely currently switched that to the UK region just so that I can watch this and a few others. But yeah, I've had this in my collection for a year or so now, more than that I think, but I've purposely not watched it because I've suddenly thought, no, I want to watch that as part of this, as part of the sort of, getting towards. Well, originally I didn't watch it because I couldn't because I didn't unregion lock it. But since I started doing this, I looked up when did it come out, because that's part of the journey. That's definitely part of the journey. So there we go, Batman tonight. If you're in the UK, you got nothing else worth doing tonight or worth watching. It's 11th of August. It's 30 years after it came out in the cinema. Crank up your TV, grab a copy, because I'm sure you've got it or you'll find it somewhere. And it's time, guys. It's time to watch this. All right, catch you later. I can't find my